Hi everyone, I'm Angela.
And I'm Denise.
And today we are going to share this exciting launch at the Marina area, the One Marina Gardens.
Let's check out the location first. So where is it actually located? It's actually located right next to Marina South MRT station, and this is actually a new line under the Thomson East Coast Line, which has just recently opened. And this is the future look of how it actually looks like. You can actually see the Marina Barrage. You can also walk to the Marina Coastal Park for park lovers. And you can also go to Gardens by the Bay. So it's going to be a very convenient location as well.
Yeah, and because it's a new township, One Marina Gardens is one of the first few plots that we're actually launching in this area.
So now let's take a look at the fact sheet as well as the unit mix. There'll be 937 units total from 1 to 4 bedrooms.
So coming to the fact sheet, the developer is by Kingsford. We have a total of 937 units, consists of 2 blocks of 44-storey and 30-storey, and we are looking at tentatively about April 2029 to TOP.
So unlike OCR projects where there's majority of 3 and 4 bedrooms and minority of 1 and 2, in One Marina Gardens it's actually the reverse. You actually have 70% of 1 to 2 bedrooms, and then the 3 and 4 bedrooms are actually the minority 30% in this project itself, because they actually expect that the take-up rate in this area will largely be people who want to buy for rental or people who want to buy and stay in the city.
So coming to the side plan, there's 2 blocks. We have the north-facing and we have the south-facing. So for the north-facing areas, we were able to see the Marina Bay Sands. And for the south, will be the sea view lovers. So Denise, do you think that it's true that actually a lot of people say that CCR condos are always bought by overseas buyers? Do you think it's true?
Actually, right, if I were to buy in the UK, I'll buy in London because that's where all the offices and all that is, because that's where I know I can rent out to people.
But actually, it's not true in Singapore. Let me share with you some data. So you can see that over here in District 1, right, most of the buyers is actually Singaporeans. It's actually more than 80%. From 2015 to 2024, almost like last 10 years, right? Last time it's only about maybe 50%. But you can see that as the year goes, actually the number slowly climbs up to almost 82% from last year. So how about D2?
Okay, so in District 2, we noticed a similar trend as well, which actually surprises me because I thought the majority would be foreigners, but in fact, you can see the take-up rate of locals has actually been steadily increasing. So I think now it's not just that one condo or one HDB is not enough. People are actually paying ABSD, or they're actually getting 2 different condos, one for own stay and then one to rent out. And they know that only in D1 and D2 that you get such strong rental yield and expat demand, because that's where all the offices, big companies and all that are, right?
Yes, correct. From this chart, we can also see that out of the CCR, the RCR and the OCR, we can see that CCR have been performing the best for rental stability. So I think this is the main reason why a lot of Singaporeans are entering into this core region for the rental.
So just to give you guys an idea, essentially OCR will be referring to outside of core region. So there will be places like Woodlands, Jurong and all that. Whereas RCR will be like those closer to the city. Rest of core region will be like Kallang, it will be like maybe say Red Hill area and all that. There will be RCR. And CCR will be like Tanjong Pagar, will be Marina Bay. These are very central areas. And you can see it's performing very well over the years. And that's why a lot of people, including Singaporeans, are buying property mainly to stay or either to lease out. So what will be the One Marina Gardens expected rental yield at TOP?
So before we go into the CCR area, let's take a look at the RCR area and the OCR area. How have the 1 bedroom and the rental have performed so far?
Okay, so I recently leased out at Park Colonial. I thought this would be a good example to compare because what happens is that next to MRT is next to mall. So it's actually very convenient, 5 stops to Dhoby Ghaut. A lot of people actually would love to stay in this
I think Woodleigh
area.
is the purple line, right?
Purple line. So it's also very convenient to get to the city. As you can see, the rents in this area are going from about easily 3.4 to about 3.5, 3.6 for a 1 bedroom. It's very healthy. I mean, for 400 to 500 square feet size. Now let's take a look at a project that is 10 minutes walk to the MRT and Clementi side. And same thing, you see the per square feet is roughly about $6 to $7, and even then it's about 3.2 to 3.4 for rental. So let's see, what do you think will be like in the city itself? How much do you think a 1 bedroom could rent out?
Maybe $7, $8.
Okay, let's take a look at the data itself. So you see, our OCR, RCR is already between 6 to 8. Now let's take a look at 1 bedroom average in the city. Do you know it could actually be double than that of OCR and RCR? Like for the sale is easily 5K to 5,009. Marina 1 residence is 6,001 to 6,008.
Wow, that's fantastic. So take for example, we recently just rent out this Marina One residence, right, to one aspect which is actually Japanese. I think the rental, the demand here is very good because just less than 2 weeks, right, the unit actually just got.
Okay, and just to share, actually for this unit that I handled, we actually renewed for 3 different tenants. The first tenant is Japanese, second one also Japanese, and third also is Korean. So as you can see, all of them are singles and they are working in the city. They want something near their workplace. They don't want to venture too far out or don't want to take too long of a time to commute to office because their priority is their work itself. So actually, if you buy in the Marina Bay area, you're also assured of a lot of corporate leases that will want to lease from you in future. And actually, this is what we did for our client, and they are very happy with it because they have consistent rental every month. They don't have to chase the tenant. They know if they have a good profile, they'll take care of the place.
Yeah, true. I think the tenant profile is very important as well for owners. In this Marina area, you can rest assured that the tenant profile is very good. Because I also ran out to one of a banker from China. He didn't find it, but actually it's the PA that actually looked for the unit and then he looked for me. So I very fast, within one day, I managed to find a unit for him at Marina One Resi already.
If you buy something in Marina Bay, your lag time to find a tenant will also be shorter.
I think there's more choices also. When you come to the outer region, there's many other choices. Example, Hougang, the District 19, I think you have a few hundreds of one bedroom for you to choose from.
Whereas if it's CCR, it's only that couple of projects where you actually really want to stay. So that's why investors who buy into this area for 1 and 2 bidders especially, you'll find it easy to actually let go and find good profile tenants.
Yes, correct. So coming to the CCR area, you can see that these are a few examples of the condos like Altes, Icon, the Cliff and Sky Suite. You can see that the rental yield is average at 4.4% and Sky Suite at 5.5%. Overall, you can see the square feet for Sky Suite. Why does a Sky Suite have this 5.5%? Because of the size is only about 300 to 400 square feet only.
If you look at it carefully, the smaller the unit, the higher the per square feet. Because what happens is that even at $10 to $11 per square feet, it comes out to about $3,003 to $3,006, which is very cheap for a studio in the city. It shows the expats, they don't care about layout, they care about the price point of what they're entering into. So the smaller the size, the higher the per square feet actually. And in fact, it's one of the best locations because expats care about location, amenities within the city itself, and proximity to work. So as you can see, the yield is also the highest. Now let's see what the yield for One Marina Gardens could possibly be.
So first, let's take a look at the layout for Marina Gardens. The 431 square feet, a very straightforward layout. We have an open concept kitchen, we have a good sized room, and then the living and the dining, and we have one jet and gel toilet. Yeah. So take for instance, if the price is going to start from 1.16, which we heard of, which is going to be super attractive. Take for example the rental at 4,600 per month. Our rental per square feet is about $10 and the rental yield is at about 4.7%, which I think is very attractive.
Wow, that's actually really attractive, especially in Singapore, you can get more than 4%.
Yeah, and plus the fact is that in the time that One Marina Gardens is going to like TOP, the other units will be one of the newest.
Okay, now we'll also share about the exit strategy for 1-bedroom buyers for One Marina Gardens. So let's assume you're entering at 1.25. You rent about 4.6 a month, your yield is about 4.4. Now, let's say if you want to sell, you want to make some profit, easily you can sell at about 1.4. Why? Because what happens is that people who buy into this area, do you think they're more investors or own stay buyers?
Investors.
So investors, what do they look at?
Rental yield.
So if they look at rental yield, they want to have at least something that is close to 4. So that's why if you're selling at 1.4 in future with a profit of about 10%, easily you're able to achieve it because your future yield will be about 4% itself.
Now let's take a look. What if you have entered One Marina Gardens at 1.5 million and your rental is about 4,008? So your rental yield, right, from 4.7, it will actually drop to 3.8%. But now the key question is, will your future buyer still enter and buy from you?
And how much will they buy from? In order to find out, do scan the QR code and we're happy to share more about exit strategy at different and various price points.
And what is the walk-away price?
That's right. I've also seen a lot of units that actually make losses at Marina One residences. What do you think of this scenario and this situation?
The main reason why this Marina One residence, some of the units are making losses, right, is because we are talking about the rental yield. Because when buyers enter into the project or to buy the resale units from you, they will also calculate their rental yield. So if the price is too high, it will not be able to match. Like, for example, most of the investors would like to match this 4% rental yield. So if your price is too high, right, the next investor will not able to match this 4%. So eventually they will not offer your unit. Yeah.
So those who seriously need to sell had to actually take a reduction in price. So perhaps these are people who urgently needed to let go for certain reasons. They actually had to sell slightly at a loss in order to match the 4% rental yield for the next expat. So that's why entering One Marina Gardens with the right price point is very important, and you need a consultant like us to be able to advise you.
To scan the QR code.
Okay, now let's take a look at the sale, which is an older project. And I'm surprised that actually most of the units for one bedroom are making very decent profit from about 100 plus to even 400 plus K, even for the one bedroom. Why is this happening?
The main reason is all about the entry price. Because the sale being one of the older project, the entry price that they enter is also cheaper. When the owners, right, they hold, because due to the good rental yield, they don't need to sell immediately. The price slowly go up and appreciate, and that's how they can keep on to the 4% rental yield even when they sell at a higher price.
So entering at the right entry pricing is very important, because what happens is that if you enter too high, in future when you want to sell or urgently need to sell, you might foresee cases where you might have to take a loss.
Yeah.
So in order to avoid that, do scan the QR code and start a chat with us.
Let's do a summary of the entry price for OMG. Take for example, if you enter at 1.2 million, your rental yield will be about 4.6%. And if you enter at 1.35, your rental yield still will be able to achieve 4%. But if you have entered 1.42, right, your rental yield will drop below 4%. And that is only for yourself. So you must also think moving forward that when you sell, you will definitely want to sell higher and make some profits. So again, we would like to highlight the entry price is very crucial.
So speak to us if you want to find out what's the right entry pricing to enter One Marina Gardens and what kind of pricing should you expect to exit in future. Now let's move on to the 2-bedroom, 2-bath in this project. So this project, does it have 2-bed, 1-bath?
No, you do not have 2-bed, 1-bath, or it's only 2-bed, 2-bath, and you have a total of 6 different sizes.
So as we can see, for the 6 different sizes, once you enter, pretty standard, you actually have a dumbbell layout with 2 toilets at the very side. You can choose the left side or the right side to be the master. And then for the 667, same thing, it's an enclosable kitchen. So once you enter, it's a semi-enclosable kitchen, and then you have a pretty good sized dining space. Same thing, 2 bathrooms, and then with 2 good sized bedrooms.
I think dumbbell layouts nowadays is very popular.
Yeah.
So coming to the 657 square feet layout, we also have the open concept kitchen. But however, the difference is that this one comes with a study. And for the 678 square feet, it's an L-shaped kitchen when we come in, and also it comes with a study. So it really varies on what type of layouts you prefer, whether you prefer an open concept kitchen or you prefer an enclosed kitchen.
But in CBD, most of the kitchens are actually open concept, right?
Yeah, for the CCR area. So a good tip, right? OMG, the 2-bedroom layouts is very nice for those that actually like to have an enclosed kitchen.
So this is a slightly bigger 2-bedroom unit. In fact, once you come in, this comes with a bomb shelter and then a slightly enclosable kitchen, 2 units of bathrooms, and then you have the 2 bedrooms over here. So I think this will attract people who may want to stay, because what happens is that you have a bomb shelter for storage. So this may suit maybe young couples or singles who like to stay in the city, they work there, they want to be able to commute to work fast enough. So this could be quite suitable. And the 2-bed, 2-bath layouts in OMG actually start from 1.8. So it's actually a really attractive price. Okay, then now let's move on to the 732 square feet. Same likewise, when you enter, you have an enclosable kitchen that leads to even a bomb shelter and then to the 2 bedrooms. So essentially what they're trying to do for this developer, they're having OCR layouts in CCR. So this will be very interesting to see how it will perform and how people will actually react to these units.
So what do you think for the 2-bedroom, the rental yield will be like in the CCR area?
Let me just share average rental in the city itself for 2-bedder. We are expecting roughly in the range of 6K to even 8K itself. So what happens is that coming into OMG, the entry price is actually very important.
Yeah, let's take a look. As mentioned by Denise, right, the starting from price is about 1.8 plus. If you have entered at 1.9 million and the rental is about 7,000 a month, the rental yield we can achieve is about 4.4%. Coming to 2.1 million, right, you will still be able to achieve 4%. But once we reach the 2.3 million mark, your rental yield will drop below 4% already.
For viewers out there, thank you for watching so far. We've actually prepared something special for you. We actually found this special sweet spot of price point, right, of 2-bedroom that you should definitely avoid. So scan the QR code to find out more, and we're happy to share more about which price point to avoid. If you liked our content so far, do like and subscribe to our channel.
So coming to the 3-bedroom layout in the OMG, we have a total of 7 different 3-bedroom layouts. First up, we have a 904 square feet with a 3-bedroom compact and a 980 also a compact size, and 1012, which is the premium size. So the good thing I feel for this 3-bedroom compact is that although it's a compact, right, all the room size is of good size, all can fit a queen and a king bed. And the good thing is that it's an enclosable kitchen, and plus is a home shelter. Most of the OCR, the compact 3-bedrooms, right, they do not come with home shelter. But for this 904 and 980, you can see that both comes with a home shelter, which I think is very useful. So even small families can actually consider this project with the good price.
Now we move on to the 3-bedroom premium. As you can see, there's 3 different layouts. The 1066, once you enter the 1066, you actually get a enclosable kitchen as well as a good size space to put your living and dining. And you have very good sized bedrooms for all the rooms itself. So I'll say this is actually one of the more attractive layouts that a lot of people, especially in OCR and RCR, like. Then next you have the 1173, which is slightly bigger, where you actually get the landscape living room itself. So same thing, once you enter, you get a very private area where nobody can actually look into your living space. You get a good sized kitchen and a dining area, and then very good sized bedrooms to put a queen size bed in all 3 rooms. And finally, we have one of the larger 3-bedroom layouts, the 1238 square feet. Same thing, once you enter, a more private kind of lobby area, and then a dry kitchen, and leads to also a landscape living room itself, and then good sized bedrooms. So these 3 layouts will be very interesting to see what's the take-up rate amongst buyers, because we see that the take-up rate has actually been very strong in a lot of OCR and RCR projects like Ori and all that. So we just wonder how this will be like once it launches.
And also one good tip, right, you can see that all the 3-bedrooms, developers are very smart. All the rooms are having the same view. Compared to like last time the layout, right, one of the rooms is facing the other side. So now all the 3 rooms, right, you'll be enjoying the same nice views.
All the rooms, right, you either face the bay itself or you face the sea. And I think the most interesting layout that I've seen is actually the 3-bedroom dual key.
So talking about this 3-bedroom dual key, right, this 969 square feet, and I think the good thing about why Dennis say that it's very special, right, because in CCR area, right, we will seldom see dual keys, because we do see like in the OCR area or RCR area, we do see dual keys, but in CCR it's really very rare.
Yes, in fact, the whole Marina Bay Area, this is the only project that has a 3-bedroom dual key. The rest of it doesn't have. I've seen dual key in Citygate, but that's in the Bugis area. But Marina Bay, this is the only layout that has a 3-bedroom dual key.
Yeah, and you can see that the layout is also very nice. Once we come in, you can have a small studio. And the good thing of the studio, right, is that it comes with a balcony. So if like families, if you like to stay, it's good that you can always easily convert this one into a super big master.
Yes, that's right.
And all the rooms over here at the 2-bedroom is also very sizable. Yeah. And later on, stay on, we'll give you a quick tip on this 3-bedroom dual key. So now let's take a look at the 3-bedroom rental around the area.
So 3-bedroom rental around the area, like for example, Marina One Residences, the average is already 11,000. And then let's take a look at the sale of Marina Bay, average 8,000. So you see for these projects, these are actually older projects, now not even brand new. They're already between 8 to 11,000 for the 3-bedrooms.
So Denise, how much do you think OMG rental will be?
Okay, so what I did was I extrapolated the different type of amount for rental, assuming $9 per square feet. As you know, the smaller units were like 10 to 11, so we extrapolate the 3 bedrooms to be about $9 per square feet. So as we can see, based on the smaller size, 904 square feet, it's likely to be fetching about 8,000. And if you go all the way to the slightly bigger layout, I mean, it's not like people will pay you significantly a lot more. Let's assume they pay same thing, $9 per square feet, it will be about 11K. Likewise, your yield will be about the same. So for yourself, which one will you go for amongst these 4 layouts?
For investment, right, I will definitely go for the smallest, because you see, it can still give me the same rental yield and my outlay of my cash, right, is much lower. So like earlier on mentioned, right, we have a small tips for this 3-bedroom dual key. So that's how we can actually maximize our rental yield. So earlier on we mentioned that average for the 3-bedroom is only about 3.7%. Now let's take a look. What if you buy a dual key? You can always rent out the studio for about 4,500 and the 2-bedroom at about 7,000. So total you will have actually 11,500. So we'll give you a 4.9% rental yield. So for investors, 3-bedroom dual key is the way.
So you can actually maximize your yield because essentially, right, both sides of a 2-bedder and 1-bedder are in demand in the CBD area. Now we move on to the 4-bedroom layout. There's only one stack, and this one is a stack 19 that's very precious, facing directly to the bay itself. Now let's take a look at the layout. So once you enter, you have a very nice kitchen space and then a dry kitchen. And you have a household shelter that's tucked away at the side. And then a landscape living room as well. And then once you enter, you have actually a junior master, which is actually very nice layout. Also, you have a very huge master bedroom, and I saw from the pictures, this is actually directly facing the bay. So from the windows, these curved windows, you actually get a bay view. So this is perfect for a family who wants to stay in the CBD area.
Yeah, I think looking at the curve of the window is the dream view whenever you wake up in the morning every day. Wow.
Yeah, you can actually see the view directly. So
Yeah.
this is something to watch out for. I think very few projects actually have the view directly except the sale or whatsoever. In fact, like Marina Bay Suites, Marina Bay Residences, they also block. They don't get the full direct
true.
bay view actually. Yeah.
And you know what's more wow? Let's look at the price. The price is starting from 4.459. Let's take a look at our neighbours. How much are they selling for their 4 bedrooms? Marina One Residence, they are already looking at 8.4 million, 6.8 million, and 9 million.
Yeah, so if you're entering One Marina Gardens, if you're starting from 4.45, let's say you get something at 5 mil, you are still getting it significantly cheaper as compared to all the other neighbours. And as you notice, they also don't have a view of the bay itself. Maybe some of that they may be looking at the sea or
Looking at the
whatsoever.
sea.
But you're actually getting a 4-bedroom that's directly facing into Marina Bay itself. So what do you think about the rental pricing in the area itself, Angela?
Above 10k?
Okay.
Let's take a look.
So basically, right, when we look at the rental prices, for example, Marina Bay Suites, the one with the blocked view, as I mentioned, they're all starting from 11 to about 14,000 itself. And even for Marina One Residences, same thing, they're all from about 12k to 16,000 in fact.
Yeah, so you can see that their square feet is a very big size, like about 2,000 to 2,200 square feet. But given our size of 1647, I think it's still very decent. I think you can easily fetch about 10 or 11,000. But anyway, Denise, you know that I actually heard that there's quite a number of unprofitable transactions in the Marina area.
When doing project analysis, we like to also be very neutral with our clients. We like to share the good and also the bad. So when I did an analysis for this project itself, I noticed there were actually a lot of losses in these projects for the 4 bedrooms. So let's zoom down. Why are there such huge losses? For example, Marina Bay Residences, there were losses up to 2.38 million. That's a lot. And then look at this. There are some that actually made about 2+ mil in terms of loss. So between this project, Marina Bay Residences and Marina Bay Suites, why are there so many unprofitable units itself? The main reason why they're actually making so much losses is really because of the quantum. Essentially, imagine you're selling the unit to another buyer that's going to be probably a Singaporean as well, based on statistics. So based on that kind of pricing at 6 mil, people can already get a landed, maybe in the OCR area. Why are they getting a 99-year in CCR? So there's a certain reason why they would. It's either probably a really good pricing. So that's why having a good entry price is very important. As you can see, these sale prices are around 6 mil plus. So just imagine you're entering OMG at about 4.5 and up. So just imagine that buffer that you have against its neighbours itself.
Yeah, I would say that OMG entering at this price is a very safe exit. So example, you buy at 5 million, you exit at 6 million. I think it's still cheaper than some of the units in Marina Bay Suite or Marina Bay Resi. Yeah, so entering at a price that is a good price is very important for this area. But however, we also did some researches that not all the 4-bedroom did make a loss. We can see that from the sale at Marina Bay, we did have very good profits. You can see that this one is making like 2.7 million, 2.1 million and 1.8 million. So why this is making such a good profit while Marina Bay Suite and Marina Residence is making a big loss? The reason is again is all about the entry price again. Yeah.
So as you can see, it's also entry price, but it's also holding period. So when entering into the CCR area, it's probably unlike OCR and RCR where, okay, let me flip in 3 years.
Yeah.
Because as you can see, a lot of the holding period, except for this one that's 3 years, they generally tend to be like 10 years to maybe 19 years. Why is that? Why are they holding so long?
I think one of the reasons, right, is because the rental is very strong. So you can easily actually pay up half or to 3/4 of their mortgage. Or some, like when they buy for investments, I would say that some buyers that I know, they actually pay in full cash. So basically their rental is getting very good yields. They have the power to hold on to the unit. So from here we can see that from Marina One Residence and the Marina Bay Residence, for the last 10 years, the number of 4-bedroom transactions is only at 58 units and 8 units each only.
That's not a lot, strangely
that's
for 10 years.
So for buyers that would actually like to enter into this Marina area for bigger units and the quantum, the holding period is the key. If you don't have the holding power, it will be actually more difficult for you to exit. So Denise, will you take 10 years, right, to make a 1 million profit? Will you do so?
I mean, it sounds quite attractive. 1 mil profit over 10 years. Okay, that's 100k a year itself. But do you know there are some projects that actually made 1 mil in just 3 years? So, for example, I just sold off Park Clementi's for my client, and I noticed the 4 bedrooms within this project itself. This is an OCR. They actually made 1 mil in just 3 years itself. Yeah, and then JSK, which is also another OCR project, they bought in and then they sold off about almost 1 million in profit in just 4 years.
Yeah, and I can see that this 1.6 million in 6 years.
Oh my goodness. So why are all these OCR projects actually making so much profit?
I think one of the reasons is because due to the upgrading, a lot of them, they are like the heartlanders, right? So they have the family, so actually they're looking into bigger units. So these big units, right, in the OCR area is in very high demand.
So actually what we see in OCR is that BTO upgraders, they make a certain profit from their unit itself. For example, those in Bishan, all the $1 million HDB, let's say maybe they bought last time about 600, 700. Now they sell 1.6. That's 1 million of profit. Then where are they going to churn it into? Maybe they put into a project. And that's why people from Jadescape and all these projects can then exit with so much profit. Okay, so just imagine you can hold long-term 10 years at the sale, but what if there are ways that we can show you all projects with a shorter profit turnaround time?
There's many other opportunities in other projects that will give you good profits.
Yes, we wish to understand your portfolio, then we can advise whether this project is suitable or maybe another project that has a shorter profit turnaround time, whether that will be suitable for your exit strategy as well as your plans.
Will you stay in CBD if you're given a chance?
Okay, initially, right, when I was renting, I thought that Tanjong Pagar would actually be quite interesting to rent because as a ding without any children, I thought that, hey, actually it's very convenient. But then after COVID, I realized that every time I travel, I have ERP and all that. So I have a lot of costs when I actually move in and out. And furthermore, I need to move around quite a lot for my work. So I find that parking is expensive in CBD area and there's a lot of ERP. How about yourself? You have 3 kids, right?
For me, if I'm single, I would love to stay in the CBD with 3 kids. It's a no for me because there's no schools nearby. I cannot imagine like every day I have to travel out 40 minutes to their schools. Unless given this new township, they build a school. Do you think you will?
So schools itself, right, firstly, the land space that they occupy is quite big. So we're also not certain if they're going to build school and what kind of school will they actually build, like primary, secondary or tertiary. So we are not too certain. But definitely I feel that for investment, it's definitely worth it because it's very good to actually lease out to expats, especially for single expats and all that who want to stay in the city. But personally for myself, I'm a heartlander. I grew up with hawker centre, all that. So I'm very used to it and I find it very weird when I go down, let's say on weekends, it's very quiet.
But given this new township, maybe there will be a hawker centre, you never know.
Yeah, so things could change. Keep a lookout, do keep an eye for this project. This is the first of many projects that will be launching.
We have come to the end of the project analysis of One Marina Gardens. If you're keen to find out more about this project, do scan the QR code and we'll look forward to hear from you.
Don't forget, this is just the first of many plots that are launching in the area itself. If you feel our content is helpful, do like, share and subscribe. See you next time.
Bye!